Hello, hello. Welcome to this edition of the Law Firm Blueprint. I'm one of your hosts, Jay Ruane, and with me, as always, is my man Seth Price down there in the BluShark and Price Benowitz headquarters. Hello, and how are you doing, Seth? How's your week going this week?
It is going good. I'm off the road, which I love. And we are, being able to grind. But at the same time, I feel for a guy who does that balance of being in the office and out of the office, it can be jarring when you're back and you see some of the realities. There's the theory, and we talk a lot about best practices, and there's the rubber meets the road, right? Even Mr. Systems, if I had a Google camera in your office and you could see that what was going on all the time. There'd be sometimes you're like, wow, I can't believe that. And so there's lots of good, lots of amazing stuff from culture going well, shooting some videos today. However, there's the reality versus we're always striving to be that much better. And sometimes that's a frustrating or humbling experience.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest challenges is you want to always get better, right? And um, one of the things that we run into is we want to be better. We're actually doing something with our reception. We're looking at metrics and we're looking at analytics to make sure our reception is really polished and dialed well and doing what they're supposed to be doing. We may be losing two members of our team, which seem to be avoiding doing work. And so that's a question for later on today in my leadership meeting. But there comes a point too where you're kind of like, hey, should we really be pushing forward anymore? Right? Maybe we need to sort of stop trying to advance, really sort of work in the moment and get through some things. I'll give you an example of what I'm dealing with. So this is, we talk about COVID really upending our whole practices. We have 5 pods in my office. We've broken down into 5 pod models. 4 of those pods have a pod leader, which is the way we do it in our system is the paralegal is the pod leader. The lawyers work for the paralegal. It's a little different model than PI because we do criminal. 4 of the 5 pod leaders are going to be out on maternity in the next 6 months. We've got one who had a baby last week, one who's due on Monday, and it's her 4th. So, we're expecting that to happen any day. And then we've got 2 more happening, one at the end of July, one in the middle of August. So we are upended. In addition to that, I have a new lawyer who's great in my office, really happy with the hire, who is a reservist who has been selected to go to JAG school. So he can be a reserve JAG lawyer. And he's got to leave middle of August through December for his training. So we're going to be down. And just getting prepared for this. We unfortunately I really focused a lot on the support staff to make sure that we brought in extra people. We hired some remote people, and we're in a good. I think we can cover all of the work. But now I'm left with solving this legal problem, and I don't want to rush into it and just be like, well, it's say it's 4.5 months. It's probably 15 court dates. I'll just cover them and I'll handle it. And I'll get my ass out of bed and drive the hour-and-a-half commute to this location and deal with it. Because, I started out like my first start of my career, I was going to this courthouse every day. So I can handle it. Or do I make a business decision and I say, okay, I'm going to bring in a local lawyer down there to be local counsel. This is going to be a 6-month run. We're going to pay X number of dollars per month. You cover basically an all-you-can-eat buffet of we'll send you everything. And your job is to just move what you can move and what you can't move, kick out for the 6 months until the lawyer gets back. Or do I say, hey, we're going to share a percentage of revenue with you. You get 30 cents on the dollar of every case that comes in. And you work these cases under your own juris number and you work them out till the end. And I'm just thinking to myself, boy, I've got 2 months to get this system figured out. And
But
I got to figure out what to do.
good. Look, let's look the good. You're doing this proactively versus much of
Right,
our career. We did it like, oh my God, we're here. What do we do? Right. That was somebody disappeared or what have you.
right.
The great news is in advance, but I think it goes to the larger topic that we've talked about before, which is during growth, and you're at a decent size, but not such a large size, that we have the issue of redundancy. And like you wouldn't have enough redundancy this to begin with. And so you have like a couple different options, right? You could use this as the opportunity to hire and work on these next 6 months to have enough extra work so by the time those people come back, you're in good shape, right?
Right.
You could play the of counsel game, which is easier said than done, right? Appearance is one thing, but actual work is very different. You do a hybrid where you do a couple court cases, nothing wrong with that, but is that the best use of your time? But probably like where things end up somewhere in the middle, right? You do a few and you get some of count. You take whatever, get whatever breaks and nobody else can get to. But it's the scary part of being a legal entrepreneur in that at the end of the day, it's you who has to go do that so that the more resources you have, the better. A lot of people experience this when somebody leaves unexpectedly and you have a mess to clean up of cases that are not particularly well papered.
Yeah, I mean it's sort of like the baseball metaphor, sometimes your second baseman gets injured and sometimes it's your left fielder and you need a utility player
The
who can
Fred
step
Stanley.
into. Yeah, exactly. You need someone who can step in and do that work and do it reasonably well. And that's why I started thinking about this. We because of the maternity leaves that were coming, we addressed that early enough on, and those we are in a great spot with my support team. I think I'm not worried about us
I
being able to
understand,
handle
but
it.
is the answer, are we sort of answering it that like you could withstand a new hire and then build for growth and you have 6 months to get to the point where you need them? That's a good amount of time for you to figure out if, again, we talk about growth and whether you want it, but it sounds like at this level, when we started, right? Nobody had kids. We didn't even have kids, right? There was no maternity leaves, meaning that you just didn't have that. People were younger, so there was less sicknesses and diseases and all sorts of other things. But you now have a fully, and plus you inherited a certain number of people from your dad and his generation practice, which meant that it's even older than a firm that just started
Right.
when you were there. And having that acknowledgement that you can't run on basics because between paternity leaves, between what will be the unexpected medical conditions that are going to happen, that, and it goes towards profit, yes, but it
Yeah.
may be that, if you don't have an additional person, and look, it's not going to be 100 cents on the dollar because hopefully you'll have some additional capacity, right? It's not like they can, but that if you don't do that, you're kidding yourself and you will be back in the courtroom.
Right. And that's really the challenge that I'm dealing with, and I'm trying to figure out, is it worth me to give up, perhaps 50 or $75,000 worth of profit to have this local lawyer covering stuff that otherwise I could show up there and cover those 15 days and pocket that money myself, but will I really actually pocket it? Probably not. I'll probably wind up spending that more on the firm in another capacity.
Well,
So,
but you can't go there because then you're. Let's take it differently. The question is, of counsel coverage comes with its own issues, unless you're again have the guy you're saying 30 cents on the dollar. Most people are not going to work for 30 cents on the dollar. Who are the people you want, right? That I mean, they may
that's a
work for
good
you as
question.
this.
What do you think of counsel should be getting
I,
paid?
there's no magic answer. As an associate or as a partner, a third is not crazy. 25 is not crazy. These are all numbers that work depending on volume, depending on how your firm works, what you're doing for somebody. But somebody who's not using any of your resources that you're saying, hey, here are these cases. You need to do everything. You need to support them. You need your paralegals for them. You're doing everything, which again, it may be a blend, but then it's even more complicated because now your staff is working with new people. Again, very often the clean of counsel number can be 50-50 just because you want it done and you want it done by somebody who's like more experienced rather than the
Right.
guy who's like, I have nothing going on and I'll do it for 30 cents on the dollar. Now that the flip side is if you're billing at $500 an hour, hypothetically, it's not crazy to say to somebody for 100, 150, or even $200 an hour, I want you to do this work. That's not a crazy
Right.
concept. If you have the hourly, it gets more complicated in your world because of the flat fee criminal. It's not really built out by the hour. And so all of a sudden, those numbers, we're never quite honest about what the hours are. But a person billing hourly into a flat fee situation is not a place you really want to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be there. And the question is, do you just split the flat fee on a percentage? Do you say, hey, let me buy 2 days a week of your time and I'll fill as many of the, 6 hours on each day? Like, what do you charge? What can I buy your 6 hours worth of your time for? And then say, okay, I'm buying your Mondays and Wednesday mornings, and you're going to work on my cases and you'll get my support staff
Right.
to help you. I
Well,
don't
look,
know.
I'll give you a blunt thing that we dealt with. We have an amazing lawyer in one of the further away jurisdictions, and they had a medical issue and a family issue. They went dark for quite a few weeks. No clients were harmed or anything like that. But when we look back, we're going to have 3 to 4 weeks of significantly less revenue. They're doing great. They're killing it. But I think that like if you look at it here and you're able to get even hypothetically, however it's done, you cover three of them, one your office stretches for three more, and you split, have some sort of split for a handful of stuff, and or the best is obviously appearance coverage because that's relatively reasonable by
Right.
comparison, right? That's not where the money is. But I think it's sort of like the cost of doing business. And then just as this person when was, if that means that we're gonna have 1 month, let's say, using it roughly, where we have a 60% drop over the course of the year, that's a 5% drop on the year. I don't like
Right.
it, but it's not the end of the world. And so if you're able to somehow look at it more holistically rather than, oh my God, this month it's going to be terrible, it is. But if these are long-term people and the paternity leave is what allows them to be an active member of the team for an extended period of time, that's awesome. That is awesome. I mean, the pain as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, is when an extended break comes and then the person disappears, in which case you've taken the hit and you have to, which is one of the reasons that I sort of would advocate, given your scale, for the extra hire, knowing less likely on paternity than maternity. I'm talking just generally statistically in my experience that, if you make that hire and somebody breaks, they don't come back from paternity leave, or that person the new hire breaks at some point, like the odds of everybody being there in place. You're telling me, how many lawyers do you have right now?
11.
And how many of those are not like a one-off, like some sort of like appeals that nobody else does? How many are doing general criminal defense, for example?
10.
10. So of those, if you were to hire quote unquote an 11th of that 10, right? And you're to be able to say, hey, I don't love cash flowing it, but for 6 months, what Dave always says, what does a lawyer cost you for a year?
100.
100. So for $50,000, you cover everything, right? And it gives you a free look at that person, hopefully, so that by the time that 6 months is over, you have the potential for an 11th. God forbid you stay at 11. God forbid somebody doesn't go back to the PD or go to insurance defense or
Right.
do whatever they're doing. Like, to me, I look at it as the opportunity. You have 2 months, you're there to bail. You could be there to bail them out if it doesn't work. But I love the idea of spending the $50,000 not on coverage, but investing in somebody who could be the next rock star on your team.
Yeah. So I've got an interview tomorrow with somebody who, is a solo, who's struggling, but seems to know what they are doing. But I think given our structure and our training and all that stuff, they could really get to the next level. So we'll see if that's the way it goes. But see, this is, it's funny that we're talking about this stuff because, this is in some ways, it's uncharted territory, and it's good to have somebody to uh, help you flesh out the idea like we just did, right? It's good to have somebody who can say, hey, I see your point, here's the counterpoint. Because sometimes you do get blinded, and that's really why, in some respects, people should be, as they are going on their growth journey, be looking to coaches, which leads me to our next topic, which is what we have lined up for the summer. So Seth, why don't you tell everybody about that?
We are really, really excited. We've done a lot of creative things. We've had a bunch of different iterations. Anybody who's followed us for a long time knows that this has been like a passion a passion play for both of us. Some of it's business,
Business
psychology.
therapy.
Yeah, business therapy. We're too cheap to pay the copay, so he stuck with me. And in other instances, we brought on sort of world-class guests, and we have a very exciting summer series. We talked to John Fisher about what was the right person coaching-wise for you, or what do you want from a firm. And we have an amazing summer lineup of some of the best and brightest in the coaching arena. We're the first, just a little bit of a teaser. We got Bill Biggs, who's going to be kicking it off. And anybody who's heard him speak, he's one of the best in the business, and he is amazing. Because one of the things he always says is, goes into a firm, what do you want? What is success? Right? Rather than like, I'm here to coach. Like it's
Right.
like, it's not like it's like baseball. You're like, hey, I want to get my batting average up. It's, hey, I want a lifestyle practice or I want to scale. And each of them have a playbook. And the second person goes with that same exact philosophy, which is Chad Dudley. Again, another one of those elite, let 1% is not even doing it justice. 0.1% of the brain power. I put those two guys up with just about anybody. So we're kicking off an entire summer series with amazing talent, and we are going to go through it. If you have a favorite coach in the space, we would love to include them. We're going to have, a whole variety of different perspectives from different coaching programs in the legal space, but really want to give people a flavor for what is possible and what's out there. And, until 5 years ago, this was sort of like there were just a couple small programs out there. And to see the proliferation of it is just amazing. And I think, in a lot of ways, it's awesome because it's done a lot for me, my firm, for BluShark, I'm sure for yourself. At the same time, it is something that there are a lot of different choices, and figuring out what is right for you as far as their philosophy. And I hope that we can get people to be able to see that during this process.
Yeah, it's interesting when it comes to coaching. You know, there's really no off the rack sort of, jacket you can put on when you're hiring a coach, because everyone brings such different perspectives and backgrounds, and what might work for your friend down the hall or your friend across the world, given the internet, may not work for you. And so that, I think that's one of the interesting things that we're going to be able to do, is that by having these conversations with these coaches, you can really get a sense of who they are and how they operate, and get a sense of what it would be like to work with them before you have to open up that checkbook and start to pay them for their time. Because, too many people I have found in the legal entrepreneurial space tend to be very easy to open up the wallet and love to bounce. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been in masterminds and people will be like, we're on our 15th CRM because we found one last week that had, one extra bell and two extra whistles that we wanted to really have. And so they keep bouncing. And I think, bouncing back and forth can really hurt your ability to grow. But when you find the right systems and the right sort of Sherpa to get you there, you can really accelerate so much faster. So that's what I'm excited about this. And I have some questions for my own situation. I'm always looking to get free advice from these people, and I'm happy to take it by having them on the show.
Right. And I would say one of the things, bouncing is certainly a piece, but I think what I've sort of noticed as is that there are different types where there's mindset, best practices, but just like, look, we see this all the time. How many of you see tons of people, some in the legal space, a lot not in the legal space, they have courses, they teach some widget. And the truth is, if you Googled it and found the book on Amazon, you probably could educate yourself. But there's something about a person spoon feeding it to you. But that's the negative side. Let's take the positive side of a great coach, which is it's more like a personal trainer. You may know academically what to do at the gym, but whenever I've had a personal trainer, you get a significantly better workout unless you really have worked for a while and know how to get it out of you. The average person cannot do that. Some people are so good they can go to the gym and it's close to the same, or they find a buddy and they don't need to pay somebody. But very often for us people that don't love the gym, the personal trainer really gets to a different place. And it's what a lot of times the word accountability, can you get those extra reps? Can you make sure you're doing it in the way with the proper form. And I feel that that's what a lot of these guys have been able to sort of, figure out, which is it's one thing to lay information at your feet, but the other is how will that convert? And I know that no matter what, it helps. And I feel that there are certain things that I'd love to hear from these coaches, where are they most successful, and where are some of the times where they see it working less well.
Yeah, it's interesting. I can give you a dozen ideas tonight on what you can do to improve your firm and to help you grow if that's what you're looking to do. But really, it's I need to see inside your processes to be able to tell you, of these 12, do these two first. And that's the value of having a coach, because they get to know a little bit more about you and your practice than because you can, hell, you don't even need a coach, man. Go into some of these Facebook groups, read, 100 posts, and you can say, I need to do these, this, and this. But the question is, in what order, which has priority, what to spend on those things. And that's where the coach comes in. So I think we're going to be in a great spot this summer. I'm really looking forward to the talent that you have lined up to come in and speak to us.
And look, as I look at this, I can almost see our future series after coaching. We haven't even started the coaching, but
Right.
some of it is the execution.
Yeah,
Are
for
you
sure.
answering the phones? Who's doing your hiring? Like all of those things, we say, oh, you just have to hire another lawyer. I'm saying, hey, Jay, go get another lawyer. Okay, what's going to happen when you get off this? And you're like, okay, I've decided I want another lawyer. What do you have in place? Or is it just like, if I have one recruiter, if they get me somebody great, have you diversified the paths to getting to you? What are you doing to sort of show the world that it's a good place to work? All of those things.
Yeah,
So
it's tough. This is the roller coaster. This is not, set it and forget it. I think all of the successful firm owners I have met in the last decade of focusing in this area have been actively working on the development of their firm at all times. It's all gas, no brake. We're going to break things and we're going to figure it out. It's not something that it is simple as, okay, now that I got it, I can take my hands off the wheel, put it into self-drive mode and cruise. I don't know anybody who's doing that. And if you are doing that, maybe it's time to exit, because maybe you're not getting the pleasure from it. Although maybe you are. There's a part of me that says 10 years from now, when my kids are all grown and out of the house or into college and that type of thing, maybe I do want to go to court every day. Um, I don't know. I know right now I don't. And so I'm building a business that allows me to be home. And after we get off this taping, I'm leaving because I got to drop one kid at soccer and take another one to a baseball game. And I'm focusing on baseball right now because we just had our Little League graduation. I've only got a couple of more games in Little League before my son is out, and then those days will be over for me. So I'm trying to spend as much time on the field as possible with him, because that's what I have built my practice around, is being home to be with my kids as much as possible. So that's the other thing that coaching can help pull out of you what it is that you truly want, and be self-actualized. And I think that's something that's going to help us really the whole summer. So I'm excited.
awesome. So I can't wait to kick off the summer coaching series, and who better to start with than Bill Biggs?
Yeah, it's going to be great. So, folks, that's going to do it for us this week on the Law Firm Blueprint. Of course, you can take us on the go anywhere you go, whether it's on a plane this summer or on the beach, maybe you're in the mountains or on a cruise, but you can catch us everywhere on the Law Firm Blueprint podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get it. Of course, you can watch us every week live on LinkedIn, live in our Facebook group at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. And we look forward to spending our time with you every week. That's going to do it for me. I'm Jay Ruane. He is Seth Price. Bye for now.